The Adventures of Super Sarah. Once upon a time, in the small town of Harmonyville, there lived a young girl named Sarah. Sarah was an ordinary girl in many ways, but what made her extraordinary was her incredible ability to empathize with others. She could feel the emotions of people around her, and she had a deep desire to make the world a better place. One sunny morning, as Sarah was playing in her backyard, she overheard a conversation between her neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. They were an elderly couple who had been married for over 50 years, but lately, they seemed to be arguing more and more. Sarah's heart ached as she felt the sadness and frustration coming from the Thompsons. She decided to do something about it. She went inside her house and grabbed a piece of paper and some crayons. With great care, she drew a beautiful picture of a heart surrounded by colorful flowers and wrote a simple message: "Love conquers all." Sarah walked over to the Thompsons' house and knocked on their door. When Mr. Thompson answered, she handed him the drawing. His eyes filled with tears as he read the message, and he gave Sarah a grateful smile. "Thank you, dear," he said, his voice trembling. "You have no idea how much this means to us." From that day on, Sarah's bond with the Thompsons grew stronger. She spent time with them, listened to their stories, and helped with chores around their house. Her presence brought warmth and happiness back into their lives, and the arguments became less frequent. One rainy afternoon, while Sarah was visiting the Thompsons, she heard about another problem in Harmonyville. The local animal shelter was in danger of closing due to a lack of funds. Sarah couldn't bear the thought of all those animals being left without a home, so she decided to take action. She organized a bake sale in her front yard, inviting all her friends and neighbors to participate. With her empathetic nature, she explained the dire situation to everyone, and people were moved by her passion. They baked cookies, cakes, and pies, and the entire town turned out to support the cause. In just one day, they raised enough money to keep the animal shelter open and running. The grateful shelter workers decided to name a newly rescued puppy, Sarah, in her honor. Sarah visited the shelter often, and she and Sarah the puppy formed an unbreakable bond. Together, they helped socialize other animals and found loving homes for many of them. As Sarah continued to grow, her empathy only deepened. She noticed a boy named Tommy at school who always sat alone during lunchtime. While others ignored him, Sarah couldn't bear to see him lonely. She approached him one day and introduced herself. Tommy was surprised by her kindness. He had always felt like an outsider because he had a stutter, which made it difficult for him to speak fluently. Sarah, however, didn't see his speech impediment as a barrier. She saw him for who he truly was, a kind and intelligent boy with a lot to offer. Sarah spent time with Tommy every day, patiently listening to his stories and encouraging him to share his thoughts. With her support, Tommy's self-confidence grew, and he started to make more friends. Sarah's empathy had a profound impact on his life, and he was forever grateful. As the years passed, Sarah's reputation as the girl with a big heart and boundless empathy spread throughout Harmonyville. People came to her for help with their problems, and she always had a kind word, a listening ear, and a willingness to lend a hand. One day, a new family moved to Harmonyville. They were refugees who had escaped a war-torn country, and they were struggling to adjust to their new life. The children, Samira and Amir, were having a particularly tough time at school due to the language barrier. Sarah, being fluent in several languages thanks to her empathetic desire to understand different cultures, volunteered to tutor Samira and Amir. She patiently taught them English and helped them navigate their new surroundings. She even invited them to join her group of friends, making sure they never felt alone. Samira and Amir's family was overwhelmed by Sarah's kindness. They invited her over for dinner, and she was treated to a feast of their traditional dishes. As they shared stories and laughter, it became clear that empathy was a universal language that transcended barriers. Harmonyville continued to thrive, thanks in no small part to Sarah's empathy and actions. She had become a symbol of love, compassion, and understanding in the community. Her adventures in empathy had not only changed the lives of those she directly helped, but had also inspired others to be more compassionate and caring. As Sarah grew older, she realized that empathy wasn't just about helping individuals, it was about creating a better world for everyone. She dedicated herself to working on projects that promoted peace, equality, and understanding among all people. And so, the adventures of Super Sarah continued, reminding us all that the power of empathy could transform the world, one heart at a time.